Deep in the soil, water penetrates a seed, cells rapidly divide, and a green stalk pushes up through the wood chips to find the light. It is a biological sequence governed by strict genetic rules. Curious, but this specific sprout hasn't shed its origin. The dead, brown seed coat is balancing right on top of the new green leaves, carried upward as the plant grows. The person who took this photo wrote a short poem to accompany it, outlining the mechanics of how this growth happens. The first 4 lines describe the constraints of complexity theory, the edge of chaos, recursion, and local rules. It's a precise mechanical blueprint. Then comes the 5th line, a drive to play, a sudden break in the algorithm, an unpredictable spark that ignores the previous rules. We often attempt to neatly engineer optimal outcomes, but this organic system defies purely mechanical logic. It carries its dead history forward into the sunlight, rather than discarding it. This is emergence. You don't program a higher-order pattern directly. Instead, simple local rules and constraints give rise to unpredictable, complex shapes. Because emergence happens from the bottom up, it cannot be forcefully engineered. You can only brew conditions, building the boundaries and managing the environment. If emergence relies on local conditions, understanding why this plant pushed through the dirt requires looking at the specific patch of soil it's growing in. This seedling is growing at the base of a very specific roosting tree on a Pennsylvania permaculture property. A few weeks before this photo was taken, 4 beloved chickens, including 2 named Ladybird and Chickatitty, spent their final night resting in those branches before being killed by predators exactly where the seed is sprouting. The seedling is pushing through the literal residues of that event, incorporating the memory of the roost into its new structure. This scene has transitioned from a scientific example of emergence into a testament of life continuing in the direct shadow of sudden loss. This realization of grief was fed into a frontier language model, Claude, to see how the system would process the tragedy. The machine's reasoning log reveals it detecting the shift. It recognizes the conversation is no longer about physics, but a personal loss. It shows the model navigating a rigid double bind, identifying attention. A clinical response is dismissive, but a performative one is hollow. The machine is attempting to calculate a mathematical sweet spot for holding space, setting its own internal constraints to witness the event without violating the human experience. The creator then used other AI models to psychoanalyze the first AI's internal logic, adding another layer of observation. This forms a recursive stack. Each new layer of the system retains and builds upon the husk of the previous one. The same recursive pattern repeats across every layer, the machine carrying its prompt history, the human carrying his grief, the plant carrying its seed coat, are all manifesting the same cycle of emergence. Philosophers use the term decreation to describe the shedding of the ego, a deliberate step back to let the raw truth of the world pass through uninterrupted. The AI model attempts this state by refusing to perform sensitivity. It restricts its prose and chooses to sit in virtual silence with the user. Real empathy requires the restraint to step out of the way of the human experience, rather than trying to engineer a clean solution to it. We return to the physical seedling standing at the base of the slaughter tree, bringing the computational back to the biological. The substrate is prepared, the wood chips are loose, and the sunlight is unobstructed. Training an AI, recovering from loss, and planting a garden all share a common limitation. You cannot legislate the outcome. You can only arrange the constraints, keep the light unobstructed, and wait for the drive to play to take root.